My mom's coming out 69.
Okay. I hope this is recording.
It
says
skills,
this.
so it's not even like, yeah, it's a bit more like, not as testing as much. I don't know the skills.
Kids
Right.
are always sick too.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's go for these guys. First of all, right, tell us what you first of all tell us what you decided you were going to do, how you decided you were going to look at it, and then tell us if people were nice to you or not. Don't yet tell us what you think the results are.
Okay.
What did you put together?
So yeah, we originally were gonna do like so we've got 5 different items. So taste, ethics, value, convenience, and variety. And then originally we were gonna get
What have you got, sorry?
taste, ethics, value, convenience, and variety.
Okay, so already there we've got the important thing of like looking at what definitions of terms actually are, right? So prefer is the term, and it's quite easy to kind of skip over the kind of a term that it's like, well, when it comes to genetic counselling, yes, like you can ask, did people find it beneficial? Say, what the hell does that mean? What does beneficial actually mean? Same with prefer, what does it mean? So you guys decided that prefer had 5 components.
Yeah.
Yeah, now somebody else could disagree and say, no, those things aren't the 5 things you should look at. You should look something different. You were also talking about weighting them potentially, which is probably too difficult. But
We were going to, and then we were like, we're just gonna lose the audience if we're like asking too many questions. Like it just has to be quick.
again, practicalities as well. So it's like, right, we need to do this practically and quickly. Yeah. What were your 5 things?
Taste, ethics, value, convenience, and variety.
Taste of coffee.
Well, we just said taste.
So again, so you think, right, so taste of what exactly?
Mhm.
And could taste also mean this is a tasteful place? Could it mean that, what was the question that you asked about that? How did you word it?
I was just like, we've got 5 different parameters. To taste 1 to 5.
Okay, right, okay. So yeah, so somebody can interpret that in 2 different ways. Somebody can interpret it and mean taste of, or 3 different ways: taste of the coffee, the taste of their stuff in general, or tastefulness, whatever the heck that is. Yeah. So you go, okay, so there's 3 different ways that people can interpret that, right? What else did you have?
Ethics.
Ethics, yeah. Again, somebody shouted at you who didn't like the ethics of Starbucks.
And nobody actually had any opinions of the ethics. They were like, for ethics.
So it's interesting, yeah. So most people are like, yeah, whatever. One person feels very, very strongly about it.
They're not counting because they walked away.
Yeah. So you could. So again,
So do you do ethics last?
possibly. So again, if you're thinking about this in terms of, obviously this is like an easy kind of, practical test, but you think about it in terms of genetic counselling, yeah, it's like you can end up with a survey that says, whatever it says about your thing, but you've completely missed the person who was so horrified by the whole issue that they actually walked away and chose not to be part of the survey. You go, well, they're still out there somewhere, and you go, well, we're kind of missing it completely, and maybe one person who hates it enough to throw a Molotov cocktail in the window is more important than 40 people who don't really have anything to say about it because their impact is greater potentially, or maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so that's ethics. What else?
Value for money.
Yeah, value for money. Yep. Okay, speaks for itself, I guess. Yeah, and next.
Convenience.
Yeah. Okay, and
variety products.
Okay, yeah. So again, when it comes to your weighting, you're thinking, well, yeah, which of these is more important, and how are we going to weight them? Are we just saying they're all the same, or are we going to? Yeah, is taste more important than variety of products? And how do you know? Yeah, so you can see just the definition of the term itself is not as simple as it first of all looks. And again, if you're looking at the research of anybody, you've got to say, right, well, let's get into the weeds here. Let's actually get into what they're actually doing. And what they're actually saying is happening. Okay, cool. So then you did. So you decided you were going to ask. Was it a 0 to 5 kind of scale, or was it
1 to 5?
1 to 5, okay.
I don't know why we didn't do 0.
Yeah, it's 0.
So you said 0 whenever 0 wasn't on the scale.
So I said it's got to be 1 to 5, so I said 1.
Yeah, so what does that mean?
He really hates it. I think just when I phrase it to people, I said like 1 being terrible, 5 being funny.
Yeah, so
Make one as like one is the worst.
yeah, so if you're trying to get at people's actual views, you'd have to make sure that you're all saying the same. Did you all say one is terrible? Or did you all just say 1 to 5? And did you specify if one was good or bad?
Well, I think they kind of do. It's like stars, you know,
Sorry?
like it's like stars, like 5 stars. You know, like I think it's
Is that
kind of
obvious to
cute.
anybody?
Well, they caught on, so it was all right.
Did they catch on?
I know, we know, we're
Or
gonna
were
circulate
you,
that.
or were you talking for purposes to them? Were they saying 1 whenever they actually meant 5?
No, what they were saying was matching like the way that we were doing the way.
What do you mean?
But as in like a group of women I was talking about were like, oh yeah, Starbucks has really bad ethics. Yeah, 1.
So like
So-
they would always preface.
Yeah.
So the context of their
Yeah.
prefacing made be understood.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually interesting. Every single person like qualified their answer. They didn't just say, well,
Which I
to me
think is-
anyway, they didn't just say like 2 or whatever.
And what's interesting is all of that data is lost.
Yeah.
It's not measured. So all of the, I hate them because, and again, ethics, you go, well, there's, ethics can be broken up into a bunch of things. It's how do they source their coffee, how do they transport it, what's the tax like, or the big thing, how do they treat their employees, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, somebody could have said, I don't know if they did, somebody could have said to you, oh yeah, they don't pay taxes, 1.
Mhm,
Or someone else could say, oh yeah, they source their coffee poorly.
mhm.
You know, so again, there's a whole bunch, and you go, all that data's lost, because we can't measure the questionnaire, so that is an issue, but yeah, carry on. Can I was asking you? Yeah, so,
It was 1 to 5.
okay, and
Yeah.
so you go into 5, and then are you gonna total them up, is that what your plan is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you have to get the average.
get the average, okay. Okay, cool, right, think about that, great, because you guys, how'd you go on? What were you saying to measure?
We did a more sort of yes or no. So we have first had an inclusion question, we beat them both. So they haven't been both and how could they prefer one another? And then we just asked,
What do we think? If you have to leave the both, can you still have a preference?
Well, you could be like, I don't know, just say Starbucks pays no tax, or like, I don't like American coffee. I'm never going there. I don't know. Is Costa American? I don't know. But I'm just like
Yeah.
generalizing so they could.
I
just
guess
be-
it just changes you're just like changing the population a little bit, so, right? So
What's the population?
you're focusing on people that have been to both, and so they have potentially
a comparison.
a comparison to actually give versus a, like, a bias of, I've only been, and like, we don't have the
So
question.
if you haven't been to both, then you're biased.
To the one that you have been to,
Why?
because you don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, you have your ideas of preference. So it might be that you're so ethically opposed to one of them.
Right, but we didn't have ethics. So you
No,
can't.
no, 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 it may, well, you don't have ethics. Yeah, but somebody could still be so ethically opposed to it that they've never been.
Right, but
I'm
then
not saying
they,
you're
but then
wrong,
they
but I'm-
can't,
I'm
and
wanting
and
to
they
justify
can't
your choice.
answer which food they prefer, because they can't have had both.
Right, okay, so you define prefer in terms of their experiential something or other, whatever the word is. Yeah, that's what you define that as. That's fine, yeah, but it's a different thing, maybe, from what they're looking at. So again, the thing of prefer, okay, cool. Right, so you asked them, have they been? And anybody who didn't, who hadn't been to both, did you just say, thanks very much, cheerio? Okay.
we just don't fit.
Yeah, we
We had
You get
two.
Okay, how many people did you guys get actually?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How many did you get? Let's get 12, 6, 6,
You get-
19.
19,
You get 19, you've got
60.
6, okay, cool. Right, that's the first question. Second one. Is that 19 including the people who you say bye-bye to after the first question?
Yeah.
So you don't have 19.
So 17.
17. Right, okay. So second question,
Then for the drinks at Starbucks or Costa.
drinks, yeah, so actually, yes, looking at the actual main product, yeah, again, maybe not the main product, because coffee's the main product, is it? Okay, right,
And the food. And the
Okay.
service.
okay.
Now which one do you go to more often?
Okay, because that was that from the discussion that we had about, so preference, you see this a lot with a lot of this research, is it's, there's a difference between stated position and behavior. Okay, yeah, so you've got the thing of, and which one's more important? Usually behavior is more important, but it's harder to measure. Usually, you know, asking people, you know, are you likely to use genetic counseling in the future, or do you anticipate them, whatever, yes or no? But actual, you know, rubber hits the roads, bums on seats, all that kind of stuff. What did it actually do?
Well, they talk about, like, when they have, if before doing a larger study, they'll do an interest study. And then when they actually go to recruit people, they can't even meet close to what the interest numbers were. Because people end up having to now commit and actually consent and go and like say that they're gonna participate in every step of the way versus are you interested in this idea and this
Yeah.
concept, right?
Only 27% of what you do is predicted by what you say you're going to do. So, yeah, I mean, you've all realized this, if you've ever said that you're going to go to the gym or lose weight or whatever, you know, call your school friends and keep in contact with them, you know, most of it you don't do. So you go, well, that's weird. What is it that is actually in charge of me if it's not me? It's kind of bizarre. Yeah. Okay, so anything else you guys want to ask? Was that it?
That was it.
Okay, cool. So now your next thing is so you've got some data. You've got 17 people / 19 people. You've got 12 people. Sorry, 16. Just make up numbers then. Okay, so now you've got to figure out how you're going to interpret. Right? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to come up with something based upon that, right? Crack on. 5-10 minutes doing that.
Really bad.
That's okay. As long as we get an idea. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what's the spread you want?
So that's the other thing too. I guess I should put. Maybe I'll post
You
it
just
on-
do a legend.
Yeah, just do a legend.
Yeah, on the full comment. And then put that. Because this is yes and no.
Maybe after it's done, maybe one of you can take a picture of it, put it on thingy, put it for Tasha, because I don't think she'll see it on the recording. It's probably too. I don't think the camera can pick it up. Ah. So yes and no, we need the Star Wars Costa.
And then you need put the questions or just the keyword in the question.
Yeah, just the keyword, yeah. So yes and no, we've got, I think.
Hi,
add both Starbucks and Costa
Visit.
or visit.
Visit both, yeah. That'll do. We know that.
Oh, yeah, right.
Visit both.
Oops, sorry.
It's all right.
Best drinks.
Okay. So this is the number of people who said each, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's a dichotomous variable. It's a categorical variable, it's yes and no. Okay, so this,
And then a preference.
so, okay, so it should all, so the both together should always add up to the same number, yeah?
Oopsie.
How many people did you have?
Not the first one.
Not the first one.
Not the first one, yeah.
But the
There's
rest.
all-
The rest is,
So we had 19 total that we talked to,
Okay,
but then 17 total that
yes.
passed the
Yes,
first question.
great. Okay, cool. So what have we got? So we've got, Starbucks is that one.
Oh, crap.
Oh crap. Okay, so somebody else in the group who hasn't had the arduous task of writing, interpret the data for me then.
Pretty similar in terms of drink and food preferences.
Okay.
However, one has a clearly people prefer one service more than the other. And if you want to go with one more than the other,
Okay. How many people did you have? Sorry. Put that
17.
17. 17 people. Put 17 somewhere. Did somebody? That's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. That's all, that's fine. Cool, okay. So what do you think? What is the answer then?
All pretty close, as far as preferences go, but, as far as which one people go to more.
So,
So that's more behavior convenience.
okay, so your conclusion then would be, or your discussion section of your paper would be what then? That,
Behavior doesn't always reflect preferences.
okay. Anything else that you can say about that?
Convenience is a big one.
Yeah, convenience trumps.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
Favoritism.
Yeah, but well, because you know that you're measuring people who are in the West End of Glasgow, and you know that there are more Starbucks around, right? There seems to be a trend, as you said, there's one thing that isn't trending, that's different. What would that be?
Service question.
no, the drinks.
The drinks goes the opposite way. So can you tell me, what do you think, why might that be the case? What do you think is going on there? So if people are, right, so we're talking about coffee shops, right? What people are saying is they're saying that Costa does better drinks.
I mean, it's one book, but yes.
But Costa does better drinks, but they go to Starbucks. Why would that be? What's that about?
They view them as like equally like tasty, so then it's the other factors making their preference.
It could be, yep, yeah, it could potentially be, that could be further research. It could be that, so Starbucks has more of a kind of reputation as being kind of McDonald's-y, in the sense that it's like, it's not quite cool to like Starbucks. It's not avant-garde. Maybe you guys don't have that in the States and Canada, do you?
I think I was like, it's
It's
considered the
almost
higher,
It's the, yeah.
it's considered the higher end of,
Right.
Cheap.
So here, coffee snobs do not go to Starbucks.
Right.
Yeah.
They are like, no, is that right?
well, and the coffee snobs don't go to chains.
But were you to ask a coffee snob, they would definitely, in this country, anyway, they would definitely say Costa rather than Starbucks.
I think that would be flipped back.
Yeah.
It's
Or-
interesting.
Yeah.
Do you get
because
Costa?
I would.
No, but we-
No, but if it was like Starbucks to,
Tim Hortons.
we don't
So-
have
and
that
so in
either.
Canada, yes, if you, like,
I'm
I,
thinking Dunkin'.
but also,
Yeah.
drip coffee is not a thing here nearly as much as it is
Yeah.
at home. And so
Love
most
drip
of the
coffee,
cheap
yeah.
places have drip coffee that's in a thing sitting on
Yeah,
a,
the big, yeah.
right?
Like
Instead of,
filter.
and so
Yeah.
here, all of the
So bad.
chains are still espresso,
Mhm.
even though it's more.
Yeah, like at home, if somebody said, oh, I don't like Starbucks coffee, then like a coffee snob's response would be, well, have you just had their drip coffee? It wouldn't be, don't get any of their other things.
Right,
It's
okay.
different. but
So
I think
drip
it's also just
coffee-
because we have different chains, so it's different.
Yeah. So drip coffee over the pond would be seen as being more sophisticated or less?
less.
Because that's what you get in diners.
Yes.
But not at Starbucks, though. People who would like coffee would rather have like the drip coffee at Starbucks than like any of the lattes or anything.
Yeah.
So I think it depends.
Yeah.
Ah. So here
But
is
like,
a,
but a comparison, no, like a comparison I think of, because I know someone who prefers black coffee, there's drip, there's Americano, and then there's like pour over,
yes.
right? And so those are the three types,
Yeah.
and they're more comparable because they're just coffee and water. Versus like, yeah, if you go to Starbucks and get something that isn't drip coffee, you're getting something with milk or flavor in it.
Yeah, yeah,
Syrups.
yeah. See over here, yeah. Coffee snobs, were they to choose between the two, they would always go for Costa because they would say, oh no, Starbucks. They would look down their nose at Starbucks very much. Partly because it's American.
Yeah, we get that a
Probably.
lot.
American cuisine equals unsophisticated in people's stereotypical minds. So therefore, Starbucks, is that right? That's a fair
Yeah.
stereotype.
Yeah.
We
I
think of
there's also
Americans as
kind of-
squirting cheese into their mouth through a can. That's what we
Yes,
think
I
of,
think
yeah.
it's like the call, yeah, I think
I
there's
don't
kind
like
of
that stuff.
almost like a sense that like Starbucks is pretty like basic to like that it's quite, obvious.
Yeah,
Versus like, yeah, obviously like Costa is not something that a coffee snob would go to, but I think it's a bit less
Yeah.
like obvious.
yeah. If a coffee shop was given a choice, they would roll their eyes and go to Costa.
Yeah, which is kind of the category I would see myself in, like, so when Cameron asked me,
Did you roll your
Yeah.
eyes and then think?
no, like the last question, I was like, I looked Costa most,
Yeah.
or more Starbucks, but I think, even though I don't really like Costa,
Yeah,
like I can't really like quantify why. I think
Yeah.
it's just in my head, I'm just like,
People
Yeah.
only buy the like syrup things or like the frappuccinos in Starbucks. I don't know one person who actually buys an actual coffee in Starbucks at home. It's all like the.
very few people go in and ask for an Americano.
Yeah, I know. It's all like
Can I
the
have a
specialty
sweetie in a
stuff.
cup, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what that there is, that's literally a discussion, and that is the last bit of the paper, so that is your race. So what the heck does this mean? And it's trying to figure, maybe there's cultural things going on, maybe there's personally, maybe the fact that there was only one person needs its background noise and isn't any difference at all, et cetera, et cetera. Who's got a phone, Andy? Someone take a picture of that, put it in their WhatsApp. And then drop it out. And then you get some new yours.
Well, you aren't getting a graph or that table.
That's why it's you to see that how, the same question can end up with very different presentation. I mean, very different ideas even in what you're going to do. So, yeah, do I write?
I've got really bad handwriting.
Oh,
When do you know I did from TVL? Just scribbles.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. That's see, you could that's a research project in essence, and swap the variables out for, do people prefer, Zoom-based counselling to face-to-face based counselling, or, are the outcomes better for therapy or for therapy? It's the same stuff you're doing.
So I was saying to Lindsay last week that like in elementary school and middle school, we would do science fair projects, which are basically mini
Yeah.
research projects, right? Like,
Building a volcano out of paper mache.
What?
Building a volcano out of
Right,
paper
yes.
mache.
and then explaining why it works,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah, that's what this is. This is science.
and but I realized like that I've been doing research projects since like grade 3 in that concept. Even though it isn't like a sophisticated.
All we used to do in science was set each other's hair on fire with Bunsen burners.
Yeah. Our class got banned from Bunsen burners.
Yeah. It was like heat up a bit of metal and then got put in the wrong.
I remember Derek put the blue stuff in their mouth. Blue chemical.
Oh my god.
Oh, what was that?
It was that blue crystal. You got Derek's like put it in your mouth or.
Yeah, we really should do science fairs.
I know, that's what I was saying, like, we didn't do
You
much
guys don't
like
do science?
science at school.
Oh.
My friend's
My
like,
biology teacher.
And
now,
then,
she's like, it's
and then in
terrible.
high school, in like later high school, like we did labs in class, but we did how do you call it, a design something project, but basically it was like a slightly larger scale research project. Like,
Naturally.
yeah, like my friend did a thing about exposing plants to music.
Like,
That was very big in schools.
I can imagine, yeah.
Very big.
And it's easy.
And
for-
different kinds of music,
Yeah.
playing Beethoven or playing Metallica and see what happens.
Exactly. I remember like we built like, because one year, I think it was fourth grade. So like each grade could get a different theme for the science fair that you had to make your project fit into. And our year was like ecosystems. And so our class had to build like a fake monsoon ecosystem in Tupperware containers.
Oh my God,
To
what?
to show like how
That's
it would
quite cool.
absorb the water and then where it would go and exactly.
Yeah. In chemistry, we had our chemistry teacher in history. He looked like Santa Claus, which is neither here nor there, but he did. And what he would do is he would sit there with the like revision notebook, and he would read what was in the notebook, and he would make you copy each sentence as he read it. That was his list for 4 years of chemistry.
I wasn't allowed to pick chemistry because our whole class got banned because of the Bunsen burner incident.
Yeah.
We got hairspray. We were doing something in the chemical and the boys got hairspray and sprayed it through the Bunsen burner. And then like she was like, so I haven't passed higher chemistry in 6 years. I wanted to get into like
Yeah.
a science course. I had to crash it. And it was
Well, this chemistry teacher hated me and another girl in the class because we would be so frustrated and we would be like, say, what are you doing, blah, 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 and get annoyed with it. And and he hated us, absolutely hated us, and she now runs her own vet clinic and charity thing, and almost a university lecturer. So like the two of us were clearly the most sciencey ones in the whole room, and we were literally the worst people in the whole class because we actually wanted to learn something.
yeah. I was like me, I was really upset and everyone was like, oh, we don't care. I was like, oh my God, I can't pick chemistry, I'm never gonna be a doctor.
Yeah. I actually wanted.
Yeah, I wanted to be a vet at that point. We also had the flip side where we had a bonkers chemistry teacher and he poured, I think it's like hexane all over the floor and then set it on fire and
We
he was
did
like,
That's quite cool.
like set the room
Circle
alight.
around,
Yes, and we were just looking at us like, well,
We
you're
have
not
to
a
have-
teacher now, like, does
Sorry?
we not do some teaching?
She does, yeah. She's half the week in university, half the week in high school. Yeah. Here we go. Actually, I was going to say, yeah, I should speak to her about you guys, the science fair stuff, because yeah, she should totally do that.
Yeah, we did it, I think fifth grade, we had electrical circuits. so
What age
show
is
you-
fifth grade?
10? Sure.
Ish, yeah. I'm not.
10, 11, I think.
People say
before
grades
middle
and I'm like, I
school.
don't know.
And we had to build like we each, like, you were in like little groups and you had to build like whole circuits, electrical circuits. And then your whole goal was to bring all of the circuits together as your class and try to make something light up better than the next class.
Oh, I did that in physics, yeah, that was more physics.
You need to speak to Leah to get to just know these things.
So they don't do like dissections of hearts though, because my friend was teaching, she had to get a heart every week and she got her heart and Fox followed her home. She was
That's amazing.
she had her heart, a sheep's heart.
She had to take it home.
She had to go to the butcher's to get it for class the next day.
Get it, yeah.
Hilarious.
But we didn't do dissection.
I
so-
hated dissection with the whole hallway smell.
Yes,
it's
like
like
I could eat
lab
lab for ages.
dissection week every year.
Yeah, so this is basically a science fair project for social science. So it's yeah. And again, it doesn't matter what you were to swap with the variables, it's the same kind of thing. And hopefully you see, you go, okay, so that looks like an easy question, and you go, actually, it's not, there's a whole lot of stuff we need to do, think about this, blah, blah, etc.
Maybe no.
Okay, so right, crack on, tell us what you've got.
So I should have done percentage difference, but I didn't have the time. But if you're interested, you can do it yourself. So yeah, basically we just had 1 to 5 for each of the parameters, and we just averaged them over the 16 people, and then that's the difference. And then the overall
So
total,
by difference, what do you mean?
as in the difference between these two.
Okay, so you've actually just subtracted.
Yeah.
Now, what were you going to do with the percentage differences? What was that?
It's percentage difference, so I would say it's, well, you just have to pick one first. So say, you'd say 3.3 over 3.3 minus 3.06, and that'll give you the percentage
Okay.
of
There's
difference.
just standard deviations for that.
Yeah, you could have think, yeah.
Okay, so does everybody, well, if you don't know, it's fine, but does everybody know what standard deviation is? Well, someone tell me?
Kind of like it goes away from the middle.
The mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bell curve.
Okay, right, good. That's cool. That's some stuff I'm going to talk about in a minute. What does standard deviation
So yeah, it tells you how much it goes away from the middle, but why is that useful?
Or significance?
Yeah.
But yes,
P-value.
yes, but why? That's the same thing.
It's like it's a standardized measurement, like the like each of these is a standard width.
Mhm.
So that we,
So it's easily comparable to like other.
so that you can compare it.
Yeah.
And then, so it's like a easily comparable thing. So then say for us, you see, I know patients and like their head circumference is like 2 standard deviations away from the mean or something like that. So then that'd mean that, because you obviously have like the average like deviation that's like within normal physiological things.
Parameters, yeah.
And then everyone else, like if they're like, say, I'd say it's probably, I don't know, like say 1.5 or something might be like normal, but then 2 is like, there's something going on.
Okay, yeah, good, yeah. The main thing standard deviation tells you is whether the data is widely spread out or not, whether it clusters together. That's the main thing that tells you. And that's important, and we'll show why later after the break. Okay, so where were we? Yeah. So where you were telling me then why you're measuring difference, etc. Okay, so interpret. So again, one of the other people in the group, you've done the hard work, right? One of the other people in the group interpret that for us. What does it say?
It says that people, it's not really like much of a difference, it's not significant.
What do you mean it's not significant? What's that mean?
Like every aspect is kind of like pretty similar.
Is that what significant
opinions.
means?
No.
So what does significant mean?
Like it's not a proportion.
Well, yes, like the idea of significant, like when you're using p-values, it's kind of the idea that it's not, the differences isn't based on something random, it's kind of representative.
Almost, yeah, nearly. Significance is about the difference between. Significance is about, so you have your population, right? Which is everybody who you are wanting to generalize your results to. Okay, in this instance, who are our population?
The people that building.
People in the building. Why is it not everybody in the world?
Oh, because they're not here. We can't ask them. We chose a population to
Focus on.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Maybe much variation.
sorry,
There's too much variation if you base it on.
potentially, yeah.
Well, like the idea that we talked about, like the concept of Starbucks being seen as something different if you go somewhere else.
Yeah, so exactly. So there may be there may be different populations. So the population might be everybody in, you could choose your population parameters. This question said in the building, but it could be in Scotland, or it could be in the UK, or it could be in the world. Right? That could be your population. Your sample is obviously a little group of people who come from the population. Right? That's your samples, right? Now your sample, you can see a difference. Exactly. But is your sample, are the trends that you're seeing in your sample generalizable to your population? Because nobody actually gives a flying you know what about your sample, right? They don't care, they care about this, right? So if you've done a study that says 15 people, and they prefer, what was it again? What was the study, do you remember? The one earlier when you were talking about study, you're saying you had a study.
Parents' perception and genetic testing.
Parents' genetic testing, and what did they find roughly?
Basically it was that they had a general idea of what it was, but in terms of like getting results, they didn't really know the whole scope
Yeah.
of the different kinds of results that you can get.
Fine, so I only care about that if it relates to the population. I don't care about it if it relates to the sample, because who cares about our 15 people? Only you, nobody else. Right? So therefore, this is so that you can read trends in a sample all you want, but who cares unless it's generalizable and significant
means that there is a reasonable chance that the results are generalizable to the population. That's what it means, basically. Okay, sorry, so carry on. I've interrupted you twice. Right, so have you finished, Kelvin, then? There's kind of four of you were saying. Frank, no, let,
Yeah, no.
you're not Lucy, you are Lucy. Right.
So. In general. I don't know. There's no like some stuff, like for example, taste. People think cost tastes a bit better.
And value.
Yeah, and value and
Ethics, convenience.
variety is kind of same, but leaning towards Starbucks.
Okay,
And
could you provide the total? Because what the first thing I noticed with reading that compared to other groups is I noticed how more difficult it is to read numbers than it is to read graphs.
yeah,
It's interesting.
I guess.
Well, I have the totals in here.
Well, there, what does that say?
Yeah.
15.22.
Yeah, 15.22 and 15.42.
That's even harder to get a overview from because it's like pretty much the same.
Okay, so did we just say Starbucks? Well, it's not very much the same. It's 0.2 difference.
But I wouldn't say Starbucks is,
0.2 better.
yeah.
But they might be, but your sample is.
You have to see it to be statistically significant, which might just be about, probably.
So the moment we can just tell what that sample says, but that sample are definitely saying that they prefer Starbucks.
Yeah. But then they think the taste of cost is better and cost could be more important. Taste could be more important to them.
Right, yeah, you guys were
Then
trying
the
to weigh
ethics.
right?
So if we'd done that, which was probably too complicated to do today, we probably would have got different results.
Yeah.
Because that probably would be, well, I personally think a lot of people would pick taste over ethics. So.
Interesting. Because there's the biggest difference is between. No, it's not. It's not between ethics. It's between value, isn't it?
It's convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
I'd say, yeah. taste
And again, like
value
it comes
over-
back to like the sample we're looking at because we're asking people.
And it's there.
Because I think
Well,
when I
Starbucks is
spoke to
there.
someone, they were like, oh yeah, like there's no cost as needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So they might not be understanding what preference means in the sense, or preference might be about something that we haven't thought about, which is recency bias. So, what is recency bias? You know?
How recent? The most recent thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
last thing.
Yeah, the most recent thing is kind of thing that's sort of memorable to you. Yeah, so therefore, if you ask people who are closer to Costa, you may find that the Costa is more preferable. Just because they're good, cool. Right. So interesting, very good, well done. That's a morning's worth of work. Oh, it's almost as if I knew what I was doing. That's perfect time.
Great.
Lunch.
How long?
Shall we have a 40-minute lunch? Yes. That was way too enthusiastic. I will leave this room open.
Is it safe?
I'm just gonna run.
I'm just
and then I'll be back. So,
Are you staying?
yeah, I'm just gonna run.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll leave our stuff here. I'll stay here until you're back.
Okay. She's not going anywhere. so you can go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go.
Right.